everybody. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited today for this episode. I have a beautiful Dominican young woman right next to me. She is my friend, Stephanie Garcia. Hi, so everyone, please say hello to her.
Hey
Ah.
guys.
Today on the new, this episode is going to be amazing. It's going to be, let's see, informative. It's going to be deep. Okay, we're always trying to be real and transparent here. And I wanted to bring Stephanie on here because today we're going to talk about chronic illness and being a follower of God, being a person of God who is surrendered to the Lord. Sometimes things don't always go our way. And so when you are battling certain things like chronic illness, the question is, how do we continue walking in the Lord and believing that He's good? Should we still believe in miracles? All of these things may be going through your head. And I'm glad that we have Stephanie here today so that we can talk about it and that she can give some encouragement. Oh man, my light just came off, but so she can give some encouragement. And she's a beautiful young woman. She has doing big things. She's ambitious. She has the Purpose Airlines organization that she's going to talk about maybe a little bit more. And I'm just glad that she's here. So I'm going to stop talking because y'all know I talk way too much. Stephanie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for coming here today. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course,
Oh,
of course.
I'm really excited to talk about this heavy topic.
Yeah.
That can be a little bit controversial in the church.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to open the floor with you for the people that maybe really need to hear this, whether they're battling it or whether they know somebody that's battling it, because sometimes we need a little bit of a fresh perspective when it comes to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's just jump into it. So, all right, tell me a little bit about your story. What is the illness that you have?
So I have a ton of illnesses, but my two main predicaments are endometriosis and things that affect my brain.
Okay,
So migraines and a list after that that they're still trying to figure out.
got it. Okay. And can you explain endometriosis a little bit for those who may not know what it is?
So essentially I don't want to give the wrong definition, but pretty much stuff gets stuck outside of the uterus, the lining, and it affects periods, it affects fertility, it can affect your other organs. You can have other organ failure, it could stick to other pieces of your body. It is one of the top 10, I believe, at this point, most painful conditions that
Okay.
they have reported in the US, and I believe in the top 20 in the UK.
Okay.
But quote me on that. But yes, it affects a lot of part of your life, not only your body, but finances, relationships, all of that.
Okay. And how long have you been battling this? Is it something recent or
For 20 years.
20
So since I first got my period.
Oh my goodness. Okay. 20 years, 20 years. It makes me think about that story with the woman of the issue of blood, how she was battling an illness. I think it was for 20 years, was it not? Yeah. Or
It
what?
was 14 or 12 years.
14, 12, okay, yeah. It was a long time. Okay, a very long time than anybody would ever want to go through something like that. And so I'm wondering, like, when you were, I know you were a lot younger, because said 20 years, but when you were in the doctor's office, and when they're talking to you about this, and if I'm not mistaken, you were a believer then, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So what was going through your mind as they gave you this diagnosis?
So I didn't get diagnosed until I was about 24, 25.
Okay.
So people just kept saying, "Oh, you just have bad periods. Women just go through bad periods," and I was always getting it brushed off.
Yeah.
I get bad migraines with it. Not as bad as I get them now, but it was kind of like, just get over it. This is just part of the experience. And
Mhm.
when I finally got the diagnosis, I had to get surgery for it to be confirmed. Abdominal laparoscopic surgery. They go in, they put a camera in your abdomen
Mhm.
and see, like, do you have these items in your body?
Mhm.
And then they took them out, but it can regrow. I was very overwhelmed because I felt like I have an illness that at this point has no cure. And
Mm,
also, they don't have enough studies on it or specialists. And there's some doctors that they claim they are something or that they can do something with it, and they end up causing more pain in people. So I just felt overwhelmed, kind of defeated, and just felt like I was facing something that I didn't have the proper tools to do. And I was relying on what people told me. I felt like a little child, like, okay, doctor, if you tell me to do this, I'm going to do this. And now, as a full grown woman, I feel like I have power over my body, my mind. I felt like I should have been more well informed about the decisions and the processes I was presented
got it.
at that time, because it changed my life forever.
Yeah, absolutely. I can only imagine how something like that would change your life. And I think it's really I think it's really important because that key where you said you just kind of followed along with what the doctor said, and we do that a lot. We put so much faith and so much trust in doctors. And it's not to say that doctors are bad, right? Doctors are great. And we thank God for doctors and for people who go through that whole process of becoming one and learning things. But they're not God. They're not the end all be all, and so your body may, it may not work out like the situation, the result may not work out as well as one doctor may say, because of your own body and what you personally could be able to take and things like that. Are you okay?
That startled me.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear anything. So I was like, oh, did I say something? What happened? Okay.
There was a large sound over there.
Oh, okay, okay. Awesome. So I'm wondering too, like as you're going through this, and I think this might be the elephant in the room, miracles, right?
Right.
When it comes to God and the God of healing, we see Jesus healing in the Bible. We see all this. I guess this is gonna kind of gonna be like a broad question, but I just want to know, what do you feel about that in general, about healing, about miracles, about, I don't want to just go ahead and I'll ask my next question.
I do believe in miracles. I do believe in healing,
Mhm.
but there are some times that I have a, a sour taste in my mouth, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
I've experienced miracles. I broke my skull when I was 7, and the doctor said that I shouldn't have survived. That's a
Yeah.
whole other story. I was healed from that. I had Crohn's disease. I was healed from that. There's a lot of different things when it comes to my health
Mhm.
that God healed me from, or didn't let it get to the point of death, essentially.
Okay.
Um, I only gave you 2 of them.
Yeah.
So I have experienced that. But I also have many illnesses that for a long time I prayed, God heal me, or people would pray for me, or these deliverance ministries,
Yeah.
um, go to them, and I would just feel, I don't know, I guess cheated,
Mm.
because I would be told by Christians or people that believe in God, oh, if you believe in God, or if you do this, like it's like a checklist. Like if
Yeah.
you pray, or if you go to church every Sunday, if you serve, if you tithe, if you do this,
Yeah.
you're going to be healed.
Mhm.
And then I wasn't. And I would be told by people that, oh, you must be a witch, or you must be a follower of Satan
Wait,
because you're not healed. Yeah.
wait, I'm sorry. It went that far to them to what?
Yeah. I must be a follower of Satan. I must not really believe in God. I must not really be a Christian because I'm not healed. Um, and it pushed me away from the church. I'm really being honest. It pushed me away from God because of people.
Yeah.
Um, and every once in a while, I get frustrated because I'm just like, people keep saying these things, or I'm like, okay, God, what happened? Like, why does this person, they suffer from something for like a couple weeks, a couple months, and then boom, you heal them? What about me? And then people would mention the woman with the issue of blood, and it would always be brought up that I would cringe. And it wasn't until like 2 months ago that I wouldn't cringe as much, because I was just like, did she have endometriosis? Did she have like the same thing I have? Like it was an issue of blood. And it gave me more compassion for her. But I feel like sometimes people take a story from the Bible and it's just like, oh, yours looks like this, it's going to end like this. And I feel like sometimes people try to play God, like they know what's going to happen. And it's not always like that. God knows why he does things. I can make an assumption, but like somewhere in the Bible, um, there's a thorn in the side, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like God left him with it. And he's a good servant. He served, he did all these things, but he left a thorn in the side. So it's just like, okay, what is that? It was it an illness? It was an annoyance
Yeah.
for him to deal with, for him to not become conceited
Mhm.
for the rest of his life. And I had prayed, and in one of my prayers, God had told me there were certain things he wasn't going to heal me from.
Mhm.
And I had to learn to become content with life dealing with that. And
Yeah.
I had made a promise to God that whether you heal me or not, and this is before he told me, whether you heal me or not, I'm still going to continue to believe in you and to follow you and tell people about you.
Mhm.
And that changed my life and my perspective. People what they want about my relationship with God and what they believe that A plus B equals C. God does crazy math that we do not understand. It is not up to me. And it's like, it's not up to good works for us to be rewarded. God,
Absolutely.
God gives us mercy and grace because he wants to give us that.
Mhm.
If we're only doing things of a checklist to be rewarded, then are we really believing in God because of our relationship with God? Are we only believing in God for that checklist?
Mhm.
And that's what changes. So God can heal. I know people like my mom, she has or had endometriosis. She went through her own journey and now she doesn't go through that. She had multiple surgeries, whatever, and he healed her. But my path and her path are completely different, you know? And that's okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's so powerful, Stephanie. Like the fact it's the moment of surrender. Like your life is complete surrender. I love how you said that, Lord, I'm going to serve you whether you heal me or not. And that reminds me of the Hebrew boys with in Daniel when they were about to be thrown in the furnace. They told the king, "Listen, God can deliver us from this.
Right.
But either way, I'm not bowing. I'm still going to follow the Lord." And like you said, we have to throw away that checklist. When we surrender to the Lord, we become like Jesus. When Jesus suffered on the cross, like this is the walk of Christ. This is following the Lord. Are there some amazing and beautiful and excellent and surprising and happy and lovable moments? Absolutely. But are there some moments where we're going to have to be sweating droplets of blood in the Garden of Gethsemane? Absolutely. Just
Right.
like Jesus did. And I just, it's so powerful. Like you are so blessed, Stephanie. I feel that so much. Like you are so blessed. Like you don't even realize how blessed you are in the spirit because you decided to follow the Lord regardless of whatever it was. I don't care, God. I'm following you. I love you. It's your will over mine.
Yeah.
Amen. And man, I lost my train of thought, but I was gonna say, it's also really big how you said God told you that this thing is going to be a thorn in your side, basically. I'm not going to deliver you from this. I'm going to deliver you from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but H, you're going to have to keep that, right? And I love that because like kind of like what you're saying is like it's not a one size fit all. What like that's that saying, that expression, you know what I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
like yeah, that's it, right? Because I'm like that sounds weird coming out my mouth, but yeah. Okay. But it's not like everybody has to seek the Lord on their own because everybody's life is different. And this reminds me of like how when it comes to healing and miracles, The way I perceive it is when I look at the scriptures, there are like three categories that you could really fit yourself in. There are some where, yes, you will get healed. Maybe it's just a matter of time. Just have to wait on it a little bit. Or maybe you'll get healed quickly, but the fact is that, yes, you will get healed, right? But then there are some where it is actually is your faith. Like when Jesus went back to his hometown, he said, the Bible said he couldn't do any miracles because they didn't have any faith. That's why he couldn't move. Like you're stopping me. You're stopping the healing, the deliverance. But then there's some who are like Paul, the thorn in the side. God saying, you're going to keep this. But if we don't talk about the variety of ways that the Lord moves and works, people will be confused. People are going to be angry. People are going to be bitter. People are going to be hoping and sometimes hoping in vain for things that the Lord never didn't really promise for them, for their life specifically. And I love how you said too, you have multiple, like the Lord did heal you in some areas of your life, but just in this one thing you may have to keep to, and it reminds me of that story. Sorry. I can't remember the exact verse, but the Lord told, I think it was a blind man, where basically they're saying the same thing that they're saying about you. Like, you must have this illness because you're a daughter of Satan, or which is horrible. No one, everyone, please don't ever say that to someone. Okay. And don't ever say to people you don't have enough faith. Like, that those are horrible things to say to someone who have this type of condition. But with that blind man, people were saying that about him. And then when the Lord came to him, he said about him that he has this illness so that the glory of the Son may be revealed. Like so
Mm.
that yeah, exactly. So we have these issues or predicaments in our lives because it may not just be illness, it could be poverty, it could be whatever. And it's to bring glory to the Lord when the Lord steps in. So when people see the Lord moving in your life and see you keep going and you're still moving in the Lord, they will be encouraged, like, wow. And they can see the glory of God just all over you. And I think that's just so beautiful. And as you're walking out this journey, what have you learned about God through all of this?
I have learned God is definitely not like people. We hear it in the Bible, or we hear it in church, but you don't understand the relationship. You don't understand God until you build a relationship. Not just that, oh, my relationship with God is just going to church. And I'm not judging anybody because that used to be me. I'm like, that was enough for me. I'm like, oh, this
Mhm.
is good. But he is able to reveal things to me that no other person can tell me. He can comfort me in a way that other people that they can get to a point, but they won't reach that same way. He's able to teach me more about myself than I think I know. And he's able to provide in ways that are unexpected
Yeah.
and bless you and other people and show you things about yourself, whether it's wisdom, your strength, your faith, your capacity for life with your connection to him.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're like, oh, okay, I can only do this, I can only do that. And sometimes I think I'm not enough, I'm not strong enough. And then I'll talk to people and I'll tell them my story just casually because for me, it's just another day. For them, they're like, go through what? You've been through what? And I was like, oh, people don't normally go through this amount of trauma. And they're like, how are you just like so happy? And I do suffer from anxiety and stuff like that. But most of the time, like when I'm talking to other people, like I'm chill. I'm happy and I don't always wear on my sleeve everything that I've been through. Um, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that God has taught me healing through a lot of things that I've been through. And I've been able to teach other people how to overcome those things or just tidbits
Right.
that might help them or someone else in their life.
Yeah. Speaking of that, you have the Purpose Airlines, right? Where, yeah, talk about that because the Lord has definitely, opened up that door for you to share that with the world.
Yes. So Purpose Airlines is like my ministry, my blog. I started it in 2019. Um, probably sometime after I was told by the Lord to leave my full-time job,
Okay.
which I was a workaholic. So having to go from that to then having a real relationship with God and then following, oh, I'm so sorry, following what he said, it it changed my life. I was able to share my story without shame most of the time. And it made me more confident in myself. It made me more confident. I don't know how to mute this. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I don't hear anything
Good, good, good. Okay, then I'll leave it. Um, it showed me that my skills in writing was more than just an English class. I've always loved writing. When I was younger, I wanted to write a poetry book, but being able to share my story, share tips, whether it's travel, health, mental health, physical health, or just faith, I think is different. Especially being able to see, and I'm not ostracizing people that don't look like me. I'm just saying that there's a lot of women of color that are not used to hearing other women of color, people of color, sharing about their problems, sharing about their health, things they struggle, because whatever happens in the house stays in the house, is what a lot of us are told. And for me, I am very taboo with certain topics that I talk about. I will go up to a man and I'll be like, yep, I'm on my period. This is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And oh my gosh, the amount of looks that I get from people, they're like, how can you be so open? Why would you talk about that? And I was just like, this is a normal human thing. Guys can talk about this. Women should be able to talk about this. I am suffering. I am going through something and I refuse to continue to be silenced.
Yeah.
It's over.
Amen.
Because me continuing to be silenced before brought me to the point of being suicidal and trying to commit suicide multiple times.
Yeah.
And I was like, I refuse to not speak up anymore. I refuse to be silenced. I refuse to put myself like with the duct tape over my mouth. I learned how to find safe spaces and I learned to uncover things for other people to feel like they're okay to break those shackles.
Yeah.
I saw another woman, she's a Black woman. She was talking about that she goes through endometriosis and she was the first person, like outside of my mom, that I've ever seen talking about that looked like me, that shared some tips and I was able to get help. And I was just like, I want to be able to be that for someone else. I always love helping people. And honestly, I'm really honest right now. A lot of people would come to me about the same thing, like, oh my gosh, my man is doing this. Like, I don't know how to do this, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, it's going to be a lot easier if I put the same advice all in one place and I just send them the link. And I
Yeah.
started doing that because I had to learn how to manage my time. And it's not like I can't sit there and talk to people, but it was also, I needed to learn to expand myself to more people that were willing to do the work. It's like, hey, if you're not ready to do the work, hey, why don't you just read these tips that I have?
Yeah.
And then it expanded past the people that I just knew.
Got it. And if I could interject real quick, for the people who are on here listening to you today, like we could share, I'll share like your link and everything in the description. But as you're on here today, what do you want to say to anyone who is battling any type of chronic illness or going through something that you were going through? And like now they see someone who is like them. What do you want to say to them?
I hear you. I see you. I believe you. You are worthy of being listened to. You are worthy of being loved by people around you. This doesn't make you less of a woman or a man or a child of God.
Yeah.
You are loved beyond comprehension, at least by God and by me. It is okay to speak up.